This is your host, Stephen Brent Sargeant. Turtleneck is on, so you know I'm about to bring some serious business to you guys. Actually, I want to talk. My friend Joe Chicolo sent me an article about burnout, and especially in the compliance field. And I'll tag all the articles and everything in this for this podcast. But I've been thinking about this even before he sent me this article. I've been thinking a lot about how burnout isn't your boss's fault. And I know that doesn't make sense. So I think what we do is we've created a perception in our head and these expectations that we think our superiors or managers have of us. But I actually think it's our own mindset creating these situations and pushing us to do more than we need to, maybe sometimes than we want to, and forcing us to have this anxiety and essentially running ourselves into the ground. And I'll just give a really great example of this. And I'm not going to mention names or organizations, but I'm not even so much my situation. But I remember the situation where there was pretty much a tyrant running an AML program, right? Like the person used to scream and yell during meetings. Like people would be like walking away crying from these meetings. And it wasn't as bad as it sounds, but we all dealt with. I was in collections for 12 years, so I'm used to these type of people. But I think it was more than the average way you would treat your organization. And the thing is, the managers all around them supported this person. Upper management knew that this person was kind of driving this tyrant activity. And what we saw was, every organization has a backlog, and this person would constantly will push to complete the backlog. How many cases did you work was kind of like that ongoing cloud that was overhead, walking by the desk. And it's what's so interesting is the people that worked long, hard hours, those were the people that we saw being promoted. And I think as a person, I don't think we should subscribe to this philosophy. Even if that is your current work environment, you don't have to subscribe to it. And even if you feel that there's this pressure for you to do this or work a certain amount of hours, don't read between the lines. Let them come tell you that. Let them come say, I need you to work 10 to 12 hours. Because what I've noticed is that even these tyrants won't come out and put it on tape, right? They're not going to come out and say, we need you to work. They'll be indirect, right? They'll imply, they'll make hints. But we think that, okay, they're hinting we have to go run and do it. But you don't. You really don't. And I did a video at the start of the pandemic because people were telling me that, my manager's on my back. They're online all the time. They want to know why I'm online. And I'm like, really and truly, when we were in the office, we were really only working 5, maybe 5.5 hours a day. So don't kill yourself trying to work 8 hours a day when you're at home during a pandemic, restrictions where if you have kids that, you're doing online learning. Don't kill yourself in this environment. It's not really worth it, because the same tyrant that was rewarding people with promotions, when they left, eventually they were escorted out of the organization. What I realized is 2 things. One, when you create an environment like that, the people that play in that environment usually get rewarded, but it's usually very short term, because it's not sustainable. So you've worked all these extra hours, maybe sacrificed some of your family time to get into a certain position. But when they bring in new management that is maybe rational, more reasonable, what happens is they start clearing house anyway. So either you get demoted, you get fired, and all that work, all that effort, all that feeling of burnout is for nothing. So why do we subscribe to this killing ourselves to get to a position that could just be eliminated? And that's why you see so many people, especially in those middle managers, those, I want to say fake, but create your own title positions. Those are the first to go when they bring in new managers. And this is happening more often. We're seeing this. Maybe it used to be once every 5 years, but we're seeing people make moves every 2-3 years. So they probably clean house every 2 or 3 years. So there's no sense in working. You can work your time. You can finish your work, but you don't have to necessarily stress. Me, myself, I would wake up when I first had my child, wake up, I'd work from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. I would go get my son ready, drop him to school, come back, work from 9 to 4 or 5, go pick up my son, bring him home, play with them. At 9 o'clock, I'd work another, like I was working 12-hour days. And what I've noticed is that it wasn't making me more productive. I was doing a lot more work, but it wasn't as efficient. It wasn't as quality work because I was tired. I was run down. And we see this a lot, people running themselves into the ground. And then I realized, like, I don't care. I don't care if my superior is online 24 hours a day. That's their choice. And hey, maybe that's the reason why they're superior. But I also take it with like, hey, I may not get that promotion, but I'm happy. My family's happy. Because what happens is if you agree to this system, it's like a treadmill. You don't get off. You can't just press stop because you're not in control anymore. And what I've noticed too is that the people that are usually giving these orders, the people that are usually pushing you the hardest, don't even have really, they're not doing it because their bosses are telling them they need to do it. They're doing it to impress their bosses because they want to move up. So you're here killing yourself, sacrificing maybe your health, your well-being, your family relationships, your professional relationships, because somebody else is trying to move up. And what I noticed about the tyrant, the second thing is the person that was above them knew exactly what they were doing. There's a reason why you're superior to that person, but they were planning their own exit strategy probably. These people are looking about making their own moves. So although you're the one suffering under this pressure from the tyrant, the person above that should be rectifying the situation is looking at their next move. So that's what you should always be doing. You should be worrying primarily about yourself. That doesn't mean don't do anything or don't do good work, but it also means if there's something that you can't actually do or you don't have the capacity to do, simply say, no, I don't have the capacity to do it. Simply say no. Everyone's just always yes, 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 yes. Then they overwhelm themselves. Then they're frustrated at their team members. They're frustrated at the people below them. Well, no, it's you. You're choosing to bring this work on. I don't choose to bring the work on. When they, even like in my position now, when I have 2 kids that I'm trying to homeschool, drop one at daycare, they're canceling the daycare for 5 days and 10 days because of COVID, you're not going to see me raise my hand to take on any extra projects at work. That's just not what I'm going to do. And that might mean I don't get the promotion. That might mean I don't move up or make graces with the tippy top of senior management. I'm okay with that. I put in my quality work, doing what I can when I can do it. And then another thing you have to ask yourself over the last 2 years, and I'm going to say this in probably every podcast, has your organization checked in on you, your well-being? You're killing yourself for them. Have they checked in on you? And if they haven't, you don't owe them anything. They're treating you like the person that's filling that position. All you have to do is fill that position. And I'm not saying don't go above and beyond. If you're an overachiever, by all means, work hard, work those extra hours if you're capable of it, but do it and be happy. Don't kill yourself to work all these extra hours. And then when demotions come and they're removing titles and removing pays and you're getting pay cut, you're upset about the company. Why are you upset about the company? They're doing what's in their best interest. You should be doing what's in your best interest. And it's not just to get a promotion. So when people say they have no work-life balance, it's because they choose not to have a work-life balance. I don't think anyone's going to fire you because you can't reach a certain capacity, because you can't over-deliver. You may not get promoted, but I also think nobody's going to fire you. And you know, right now, it's really hard to find people even to fill positions. And that's what some of the report was saying, is that there's such a shallow candidate pool. It does mean higher pays for a lot of people, but it also means most of these compliance programs are running super lean, which means you're doing a ton more work. Find the organization for you that balances maybe that work-life balance. And a lot of these organizations, like I was looking at Chainalysis the other day, they have like 4 days off for diversity, inclusion initiatives. They have personal health days, sick, like you need to be working in an organization that values, and you can't be scared to take advantage of those. And like, I don't believe in all the unlimited, personal days off, because then people are too scared to take them. But I do believe there's some days you wake up on a Tuesday morning and you're just maybe had enough. for that day. And that day, you're just going to log on and say, you know what? Not today. I'll be fresh for tomorrow morning. And I think that's perfectly fine. And you have to check in the last time that you've been feeling overwhelmed. When's the last time you said, you know what? I'm not working tomorrow. I might not work for a couple of days. I am going to reset, refresh, maybe spend time with my kids, because maybe if that's where the guilt and the anxiety is coming from, is because your kids want to play all day when they're home and you're not available and you're working weekends to try and get this imaginary promotion that could be taken away within the next year. Take a couple of days off. You're all working remotely, so the jobs aren't as bad. And like, to be quite honest, a lot of things that this article said about pandemic fatigue is real. The lockdowns, the travel restrictions, like even if you want to go somewhere, like the thought of being stuck in Mexico for an extra 10 days alone in your room is enough to deter the most travel savvy jet setting person. The school closures, the business closures, it's the unpredictable, right? It's the uncomfortable. And a lot of people actually want to go back into the work, like they want to work hybrid and go back into the office and step away from the family life and see people. I'm not one of those people, so yeah, I'm working remotely. I don't need to go anywhere. I don't need to talk to you at the water cooler. Like, we can catch up on Zoom, or you can send me a WhatsApp message, but I can see why a lot of people feel the need to connect with others. I've always done a great job of working and connecting with industry professionals, whether it's Zoom or phone calls, but I don't think a lot of people are doing that. And you have to remember, everything is perception. The reason why you couldn't work from home in 2019 for more than 2 days is because your organization wanted the perception that people were in their chairs doing work. But now it's totally fine. You have to work from home and everything's running somewhat smoothly. So when you see your boss online at 8 a.m. and again at 8 p.m., so be it. They're choosing to work their schedule. I don't feel any anxiety or pressure or fear to be online 24/7. I don't feel any guilt about not logging in on the weekends, and in choosing maybe to record podcasts instead and do something that makes me feel good and something that helps me with my personal things that I'm interested in, my aspirations. And this may not resonate with a lot of people, and it may not make sense for a lot of people. But what I've noticed is that everyone has this made up fear that they're going to lose their job if they don't reach this idea in that they made up in their own mind, that they have to be online 24/7, that they have to respond to emails within 15 minutes when they're getting emails at 9 o'clock at night. And maybe some jobs are there. And there's going to be sometimes, listen, I work in crypto. There's some days that you're going to work a 12, 16-hour day. That's just the way it goes. But that's not going to be every single day. And if it is every single day, then that's a conversation that needs to happen with your organization, like within your team, and saying, hey, we may need some extra resources because this is not sustainable. And what's going to happen is that what makes it worse is that the people that decide to leave are only going to make your job that much more harder, because those people weren't treated well. They go to other organizations that offer this safety net where you can work according to your capacity, still working hard, but no need to overwork or burn yourself out. So the next time you complain about your boss working you too hard, or that you worked so many late hours, it's not your boss's fault. You choose to do what you choose. And hey, if you're so good, you can walk away and go to many organizations right now, because everyone's looking for top talent. So I hope this helps a lot of people. I hope this helps out a lot of organizations that are putting in, systems where you have to check in every 5 seconds. That might not be the key to more efficient work. Supporting your team, asking your team if your organization hasn't asked you in the last 2 years how you're doing, whether it's your manager, the CEO, the CCO, anybody within your organization, HR, like what happened to HR and human resources? If your human resources doesn't reach out to you until you leave the organization to do an exit interview, exactly what function are they doing? And I'm not blaming them. I'm sure they're overworked now, trying to find top talent, trying to keep top talent, trying to deal with internal disputes. But a large part of human resources is to provide resources to the humans that work within your organization. And if they don't have the capacity to do that, then the organization should think about expanding those departments. Hey guys, I could be wrong. This is just one person's opinion, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of heat from a lot of different people about episodes like this. But what I'm saying is, take care of yourself. take care of your work, take care of your family, and be happy, and stop putting these unrealistic expectations on yourself, burning yourself out, and then blaming the organization and blaming your boss. Take accountability. You're responsible. You choose to work those extra hours. You choose to burn yourself out. And right now, there's almost very little argument against it, because you can choose to go to so many organizations, because there's a lot of available roles for hardworking, strong people. But you can't use the, oh, they're going to fire me if I don't keep up with this anymore. I don't think that's a valid argument. I think we both know it. Hope this helps, guys.